So I wanted to talk a little bit about my first experience of recording. And, 2020 was a pretty sucky year all round, but it at least let me get to try that out in some way. Um, so I met this guy I reached out to called Mike Vaughan, one of the nicest people you could hope to meet. And he decided that he was going to try and take a little bit of a mentoring role as best as he could within the time he had. He's busy. We're all busy. We've all got these, different things on, and it's not the easiest of circumstances with lockdown being like it was as well. And within the parameters of lockdown, we safely decided to meet up and have a crack at actually laying one of my songs down, because I've got all this frustration of keep coming up with all these tunes and that, and needing to do something with some of them. So we met up at his, and he's got this recording space over in his garden. So we were able to, use sensible distancing and things like that. And it was kind of out of the lockdowny phase bit. And I chose one song that I'd got ready for recording called The Visitor. And it's not like any sort of commercial track or anything like that. And I chose it because of its simplicity, just a couple of verses and sort of refrains and that. So I thought, oh, okay, nothing too heavy, nothing too demanding. We'll kind of feel it out if it's the first kind of chance of recording. So I sat down there with my, fully acoustic guitar mic'd up, no kind of DI bit there. And he asked me, do I have a BPM in mind? And I did. So he put a click track in, and, the cans go on, and I lay this thing down. And it was kind of a bit complex. I didn't realize I'd made it kind of a bit complex, but it's got this bit where it goes into like a half bar, so it's doing 4/4, and then it just does like a 2 kind of bit to get back into the verse again. So it does like a half bar sort of size thing, and then straight back into the verse. So with a producer like Mike he likes to sort of pre-plot it all out and like count all the bars properly out in Logic and that. Represent them properly. It's very organized like that, so it took some sort of like working out to see what I was actually up to there, because I didn't even know I was up to it. But hey, it's just playing by groove and by feel. And the other thing was that when I go into the refrain parts, there's like a lot of swing that goes into that as well. So I hadn't realized I was doing that. And it's very much, that song is all about like groove and feel, the way I'm playing it by feel, and those things that just naturally come that way. So it swings on those refrains and then stops swinging on the verses again. So it was swinging just from the way I was playing my guitar, which suggested things for the beat and so forth. Now, I've had discussions with drummers and stuff, and the feeling of the ideal thing would be, you try and get the drums down. That would be a great thing to have in place first. But, it's just out of necessity. I don't have a band, didn't have one with me, couldn't work that way. So I had to work with what I play first and foremost, so I had to lay that down as the first expression to build off of, and that happened to be, the acoustic rhythm guitar. So I put that down. We layer it a couple of times. The two matched up pretty well, so I was playing quite consistent, I guess. I thought I was going to be really nervous and making a lot more mistakes as soon as the red light came on. Because when I'm trying to record something properly on like a memo thing or whatever, that's like a proper reminder. Okay, even though it's like a home rough demo, or do one of my videos that I do, my demo things that I do, I make all sorts of annoying mistakes, and I know it's just because I'm recording, but it didn't happen there. So I was really pleased with that. So I got them down, and then it was just a case of putting the vocal on it. And then he said, do you know what you want to do with the harmony? And I said, well, kind of, some things I could try. So rather than try to work it out and like work out what the harmony should be, and should it be in like, perfect fifths or whatever it should be, he just said, just I'll leave the thing recording and you just attack it, Rob. So we do this, and I end up with this these harmony things, and I end up putting a second harmony right through it, and then like three-way harmonies on the refrains, and Mike referred to it as a wall of Rob just there on the harmonies. He's like, yeah, I'll just leave you to come up with these ideas. And it's just oh, okay, try this, bang, knock it in. And the other thing was also I'm starting to discover that I work quickly, so it's a case of record it, maybe record it a second time, and that was it pretty much, you know, and just use the best one or the best bits from each, because, you know, when in the computer age where you could say, well, this bit here was good in take A, but in take B this bit was better. And of course in the past, when they had the confines of tape, they didn't used to be able to match them up so easily. There's the famous story of Strawberry Fields Forever by the Beatles, and, you know, the different takes were actually in different keys, but they preferred a bit this bit and that bit, and so they, you know, changed the speeds a little bit, which is why you get this kind of like weird effect to make them sync up. That's why Strawberry Fields starts sounding really weird vocally, because it's been slightly slowed down to match. Anyway, the computers have spoiled us, really, haven't they? Because we don't have to worry about bouncing down like artists had to with like 2-track machines and that. We can just got endless and endless amounts of tracks, aside from CPU problems. And yeah, so, you know, working on Logic Pro like this, yeah, you know, it was, I just tried some things out, put them down. I just went for one take pretty much of those, maybe another grab at it a little bit, but I work fast. And it's really a case of, you know, Mike saying it sounded all right to me. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's okay. Yep, that's fine. We'll go with it. And that was all right. So yeah, it was nice to be able to work fast. I had the bass, most of the bass idea in my mind of what I wanted to do, but, you know, I'm not a bass player. He's a more accomplished bass player than I could be if I picked it up and tried it. I've never actually touched a bass guitar, so I didn't want to try there and then, in the face of, you know, the recording, to just have a go for the first time ever. So I'm humming this bass thing how it should probably go, doom 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 doom, like that, you know, mouthing it, and he's trying to work out the notes there on the bass, and, you know, he finally sort of works it out, and we, you know, just get a quick recording down in of it, DI sort of thing, and that's there, and we worked out for the bits for the verses. It would be quite nice if there was like a call and response bit, because I use like a bass riff on that song, you know, that sort of is that whole sort of, yeah, I riff there, and then he does this response thing, you know, doom 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 doom. So yeah, I suggested, yeah, let's like do it like a call and response type of deal. So we worked it out. Okay, let's try it this way then. Okay, let's try it not with those notes, but we'll play them in that way, and then leave a space now for my bit to be in, and then you start playing again here. So is that, I suppose you could say I kind of co-produced this thing a bit. And we left the drums there on that day and just kind of got the bass in, and kind of left it there. And then sometime later on, when the restrictions lifted a bit more, I had an opportunity to come over to his studio at Shamrock Quay in Northam, Southampton, not far away from the St Mary's Stadium. In fact, it's a great little studio, you know. And I'd had this experience the night before, because it's funny, because of what the subject matter of The Visitor is about. It's about, you know, trying to tie down the muse. It's got lyrics that ostensibly appear to be something else, but the real meaning is about trying to capture creativity, and you can't. The futility of that, and what it's like living with the muse. And it's kind of like a little ode to the muse. It's like, okay, if I make a song about her, then you know, maybe it will please her, because you know you have to, because, you know, these things obviously come from somewhere. And there's a line in this in the song that I cut, because I knew I was going to record in the studio the next day, and so I had this experience of waking up at like 4 a.m. the night before for this. So this is the second time recording, but then that was into the studio sort of thing that was going to come. And I woke up that night and it was just, hey, you know, it's like, almost like a whispering in there, not literally a voice, but just this feeling coming on, you know, it gives it to you as like an energy feeling, you know, wherever that comes from, you know, call it buried subconscious that's had time to germinate psychologically, or divine inspiration, call it what you want. But you know, it's a mystical thing, isn't it? You know, call it coming from God, call it from whatever you want to call it. And it's that this feeling of you know, the drums should go like this, and oh yeah, here's another verse as well. And I decided to, you know, quickly write this extra verse and that, and literally the verse goes, you know, wakes you in the night with ideas on her mind, which, you know, carries on that theme of looking like it's one thing but it's actually about another thing, because it was literally talking about my experience of being woke with ideas for that song against my will. It demands to be written, basically. You know, I just appear to be a messenger, a conduit, a slave to it. It wants to be, and the act of recording it is really, it's just as much exorcism as it is art, quite frankly. And yeah, ultimately it's cathartic as well. So yeah, I was pleased that I actually got that verse in, because it was really meta to actually come up with that verse about that song, and then that's all that. The Visitor, you know. So yeah, went along to the studio, and I said, oh, I've got this extra verse for it. Oh, and I've got a change as well now. I've got like a bridge for it that I want to do a thing. And all in all, I invited another friend of mine, Joel, over, Joel Nicholson, because he's got a steel resonator guitar. I think it's a tricone from the look of it. And I told him, hey, bring it along and you know, lay down some stuff. These are the chords. This is the rough demo of the song. Just play what you want on it, kind of thing, and we'll work it out. Just whatever you like, you know. I'm not going to get prissy about this. So while I was waiting for him to turn up, I was laying down this new section to the track, and there was going to be like a difference in the sound, because the area that the original one had been recorded in, you know, it had a bit of room atmosphere that most people probably wouldn't notice, but the people with the, you know, real like audio technical want would pick up on stuff like that. Oh, there's a bit of color there, but it's different here. And I was fine with that, because I think something where, oh, okay, so the color of the song, the musical color of the song, the little tiny aspects of it, they change and shift, and that's all fine, you know, because, you know, the song can shift and you know, have different like modes, and there might be songs where you're picking one bit and then you do the same bit again and you want to give it a different attack and a different energy, so you might strum it or something. So to me, it's just the same. It's just like the room atmosphere, the ambience, or whatever kind of audio elements there are. That's all fine. So just, you know, let it just go like that, right? Don't need to record it or re-record it all again. It was fine, you know, and it's all part of the story, you know. The story started in there, and then the story carried on in the studio proper, and that's kind of that's telling the story. The actual the end product is a proof of concept story, you know, of it. So that was fine, and I recorded the new vocal in the studio, you know, the new verse, and the change, the bridge as well, you know, but it's just it was just me. That was another crazy thing, because having to switch over into going into that bridge, we've got then a count of 5, which is potentially able to throw everyone, so he's had to mark it all out in Logic again. Okay, we're doing a count of 5 instead of 4, because you do this extra beat over, because you'll do straight into that. Just being very, very creative with the time measures and that, you know. not sort of trying to impress anyone, not trying to write to any kind of spec, not trying to think, oh, okay, you know, this needs to conform in some way. And it's just completely about the song and just saying, just open up and just go for it. And do you know what? I'd rather be a Marmite artist and kind of be loved and hated and just have some sort of emotional reaction. I'd rather that than just some sort of bland, yeah, it's all right, or whatever. I'd rather you feel something, you know, at least. Is it too quirky? Is it too this? Is it too that? And this song's a really strange one. It's got like a real sort of country kind of redneck kind of full on bits to it, and then the refrains are a lot more sort of like that 60s kind of voices built up type of thing. So it's this real like mashup thing that's going on there, which I just love the madness of it. You know, it's completely mad. You know, I love that. So yeah, lay this vocal down over there, and you know it's recorded in the studio. So the vocal for the Wakes You in the Night verse and the bridge were done there. And they sound great, you know. They sound great, and yeah, just like get the new bit down, and we just record that little bit and then slot it in, because it's the beauty of working on the computers again, as you know I mentioned. We take it for granted. We're so lazy now that we don't have to re-record the whole thing, and we don't have to record it all live, trying on 1 or 2 tracks or whatever like artists used to. It's just beautiful to be able to use that technology in that way. And people could be making better use of it, to be honest, you know. But sadly, it doesn't feel like they're making the full use of it they could presently. I'm not saying I will or am, but you know, it's limitless, really, isn't it, when you think about it? And I don't see limitless output in the types of music that's coming out. You know, there are still limitations or whatever. Just go nuts, go crazy. It's not like you're going to get paid for it anyway in this day and age, isn't it? So you may as well just make it for the music, you know. You know, I'm not going to conform and be anyone's bitch. You know, I'm going to do it my way. You get one try at it, you know, one chance to make that song. So you've got to get it right. You've got to enjoy it, and you've got to do it the right way. You don't want to end up sort of regretting it. You want to, even if you end up not liking the song anymore, at least you could say, well, that was right for then. You could at least say that, couldn't you? Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, recorded those bits, and then, you know, Joel came in as well, and he set up the resonator and he just started playing these bits and strumming and picking and just all these things. And what we ended up with, rather than anything kind of leady, it was just like a second rhythm. So we've got these 2 blended rhythms going on now. So he's using slide, and he's also using you know, picking in places, real sort of slow picking in that. On the bridge, I came up with this idea of, well, let's put an effect on it. I know it's an acoustic instrument, this steel resonator, but let's stick a delay on it. And Mike was able to quickly find the right delay for it straight away, that would, you know, and it just worked. It just worked straight away, and it's like, wow, I'm suggesting things and they're working, you know. And the 3 of us that could hear it playing, we just all immediately knew, yes, we like this. It's crazy, you know. This it works. It works for it. We like it. And that's all that really matters, to be honest. Not is it going to sell? Is it commercial? Is it all those other questions? Forget it. You know, it's just do the art. Just do the art. Yeah. So that was a nice experience, and that was great to have Joel in. And it was a great atmosphere, and he changed it in a good way. So I'd like to thank him for bringing that in. So then it's just that mixing control kind of challenge of trying to put what is effectively 2 rhythm guitar elements, very, very different from each other, both going off together, and trying to mix them so they work together quite well. And because it's going to be quite a busy kind of mix, even though we didn't put a lot of instruments on it, it feels quite busy. There's gonna need to be points. I was talking with Mike about this, points where we need to say, well, you know, this particular instrument, you know, okay, where is the bass really important? Where's the bass line really important? Where's it? Okay, so in this part, the bass should maybe be a bit sort of more prominent in the mix, and the other things stripped back to let it shine, and then it's done its thing, and then some other instruments come out in concert with one another in a different part of the song. So it needs to mix kind of like that, to feature and spotlight in different places. So it's not just like one consistent run all the way through. And there are parts in that song where like the suggestion, for instance, as far as I'm concerned, the suggestion is that the bass should really shine on those R refrains. That's where I'd like to hear it really, really clearly. Effectively, the way I've done this is like the bass is kind of the lead guitar, because I'm not much of a lead guitarist anyway, and I didn't feel riffs and that for this song. So I tend to sometimes like to get my riffs through the bass, and I'm even doing bass through my rhythm guitar, those little riff kind of bits. So that's the way it expressed itself. Then, you know, it was a case of the drums, and rather than setting up the full kit, because I'd come up with this idea all part of, you know, like being woken up that night, and the original recording is just me with a little memo, and I'm trying not to wake up people in the house and that. I'm just going really, really quietly into the phone, sort of thing, and I'm trying to work out what that is. And so I'm beatboxing it to Mike and trying to put the beat together. Said, yeah, it sounds a little bit sort of Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song. It's got a little bit of that kind of vibe going on, isn't it? And I was very, very adamant that I wanted this sort of like sort of end parts on it like that, you know. So it's not that like it was copied that, but, you know, it's just like, oh, that's the closest thing. It's just got that vibe or whatever. So we started plotting it out to try and work out what the beat would be, and we started plotting it out in Logic, and he put it to like a drum program thing to try and work it out, and then we listened to that and decided jointly, yeah, you know, I don't think that's quite adequate. It wants a bit of live input. So we decided, well, the live bit it needs, because it's handling that quite fine, and there's some of the other bits, it's got like a stability under there, but we'll put a bit of practical live drums on as well. So just the bass and the snare will do. But then it gets even more complicated, because that's fine, you know, we set up just the bass and snare, which isn't the whole like 2-hour setup that you'd need to put a drum kit together. And Mike's a drummer anyway, that's like his first and foremost deal. So that was good. We had the kit on him there that he could put together. And the snare, there's certain sections of the song where, because basically we recorded the drums basically in multiple parts. So you got the computer bit, and then we got the live element drums, and those are going to be blended, mixed together sort of thing. So it was the bass and snare within like the verses, and then the bass and snare within the changes, the refrains. And, you know, one of them has like a cymbal hat type of thing on the snare to basically just change the color and the tension on the skin and that, so it gives it a bit of a different thing. So it's that being hit. Just one stick needed really to do this, you know, and the bass pedal and this one stick, just trying to get this thing going. And then it's crazy because so you've already got 2 different flavors there in the beat. Well, 3 with the electronic, but then we got 4 because on the bridge we go brushes and do this other sort of beat, and it was just amazing. Just Mike just felt it and just came out with this thing, and it was like straight away, yes, this is it right there. Yeah, but, you know, where do we go from here? No, we don't go anywhere from there. That's beautiful. That is it right there. That is it. You've got it. And of course the problem is this is going to be an absolute bugger to try and translate live. I mean, oh, and that's the other thing. The Muse thing the night before, it gave me another harmony, a lower harmony this time, So, you know, I had that on tape, and I get up on the mic and I'm trying to remember how it goes, and I record a bit of it and then stop the take. And it's like, wait a second. And I get my phone memo out and I just listen to it again and hear me doing it. It's like in the night they're going, okay, now I remember how it goes, right? So I've got these other two voices. I don't like have a problem where I'll blend into the other voice. I just cannot remember where it goes because of the intricacies of all the angles that it could take and that, and it's completely new to me. I haven't really played it before, you know. It was just I came up with it and just recorded it straight down onto a memo so I wouldn't forget. So it was just a little bit like that, trying to remember that. It's, you know, with a band situation, you might get together live and like practice it first in a rehearsal room, maybe take it out live before you record it, and that's, and I just can't do those things. So, you know, it's all a product of my situation and of my circumstances and of the time that I currently live and record in. So I don't know how that's going to transfer live. I have no idea. I'm not experienced enough to be able to state 3-part harmonies and 3 different ways the drums would swing. I don't know if you can have like sticks with brushes on the end and you just flip them. Is that going to work? I don't know. So the song is pretty much done. That's ready for how and wherever I'm going to use it. It's mad little number, The Visitor, and it was a great experience recording. And all we really need to do now is consider, maybe are we going to try and re-record the bass down from the, you know, the original crack at it? Do we want to take another swing at it to make it any better? Or not, and then it's just a case of mixing it and then and mastering, and then it'll be ready. And that's kind of my experience. And it's just now a case of, you know, well, hey, when can I do it again? Love it. Yeah, you know, I see the studio as kind of like a playground, and it's nice ultimately to be able to bring develop things along. I think the thing that I struggle on maybe the most with songs when I turn up with them is sometimes figuring out completely what the best arrangement for it might be. But yeah, there's times with songs, and you know, the next one I'm thinking of doing, maybe I'm not fully sure on the full arrangement of it, how I want it to work out, but we tend to kind of just work fast, so there's not like a pre-plan, there's not like a meeting, we didn't have a meeting before. It's like, oh, I'll show you the song and it actually goes like this, and then what do you think before we do it on the day? We just kind of turned up and he switched the mic on and he was like, yeah, go for it, Rob. And it's like the first time he's heard it and I'm just putting it in, you know, and I just went for it with an arrangement myself in that case. But oh man, try and work it out, hey. But, you know, yeah, I love the studio as a creative space. And I want more of it. And that's kind of the story of the first one. And thanks if you stuck with me on this. See you on the next one.